The semicircle is about a godly rhythm of life. In particular, it is about balancing work and rest, both of which God calls us to. I prefer the language of abiding and fruitfulness.
First this, God created the heavens and earth, all you see, all you don't see. Earth was a soup of nothingness, a bottomless emptiness, an inky blackness. God's Spirit brooded like a bird above the watery abyss. God spoke, light, and light appeared. God saw that light was good and separated light from dark. God named the light day. He named the dark night. It was evening. It was morning. Day one. God spoke, sky, in the middle of the waters, separate water from water. God made sky. He separated the water under sky from the water above sky. And there it was. He named sky the heavens. It was evening. It was morning. Day two. God spoke, separate water beneath heaven, gather into one place, land, appear. And there it was. God named the land earth. He named the pooled water ocean. God saw that it was good. God spoke, earth, green up, grow all varieties of seed-bearing plants, every sort of fruit-bearing tree. And there it was. Earth produced green, seed-bearing plants, all varieties, and fruit-bearing trees of all sorts. God saw that it was good. It was evening, it was morning. Day three. God spoke, lights, come out, shine in heaven's sky, separate day from night, mark seasons and days and years, lights in heaven's sky to give light to earth. And there it was. God made two big lights, the larger to take charge of day, the smaller to be in charge of night. And he made the stars. God placed them in the heavenly sky to light up earth and oversee day and night, to separate light and dark. God saw that it was good. It was evening. It was morning. Day four. God spoke, swarm, ocean, with fish and all sea life, birds, fly through the sky over earth. God created the huge whales, all the swarm of life in the waters, and every kind and species of flying birds. God saw that it was good. God blessed them. Prosper, reproduce, fill ocean. Birds, reproduce on earth. It was evening. It was morning. Day five. God spoke, earth, generate life, every sort and kind, cattle and reptiles and wild animals, all kinds. And there it was, wild animals of every kind, cattle of all kinds, every sort of reptile and bug. God saw that it was good. God spoke, let us make human beings in our image, make them reflecting our nature, so they can be responsible for the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the cattle, and yes, earth itself, and every animal that moves on the face of the earth. God created human beings. He created them godlike, reflecting God's nature. He created them male and female. God blessed them. Prosper, reproduce, fill earth, take charge. Be responsible for fish in the sea and birds in the air, for every living thing that moves on the face of earth. Then God said, I've given you every sort of seed-bearing plant on earth and every kind of fruit-bearing tree, given them to you for food, to all animals and all birds, everything that moves and breathes. I give whatever grows out of the ground for food. And there it was. God looked over everything he had made. It was so good, so very good. It was evening. It was morning. Day 6. Heaven and earth were finished, down to the last detail. By the 7th day, God had finished his work. On the 7th day, he rested from all his work. God blessed the 7th day. He made it a holy day, because on that day, he rested from his work, all the creating God had done. This is the story of how it all started, of heaven and earth, when they were created.
The account of God's beautiful creation at the beginning of Genesis finishes with God resting and setting a tone which is repeated regularly in the Old Testament in the context of Sabbath rest, 1 day per week, alongside festivals that follow the seasons of the year. From the beginning, God says that both work and rest, abiding and fruitfulness are good. Remember that there was time before God made the universe where there are hints that he planned and designed it. At the end of day 6, God made people, different because they were created in his image. Their first experience of God was that he rested. So the pattern set from the beginning was that work and fruitfulness came out of rest and abiding, not the other way round. So we should aim for a rhythm of life where rather than resting from our work, we should be fruitful from our abiding. This concept can be seen in the pattern of Jesus' life, especially the way that it's presented in Mark's Gospel. On the screen are a regular series of passages describing Jesus abiding before being fruitful. It seems to describe a very intentional pattern which Jesus refuses to be distracted from. As time goes on, he seems to draw his disciples more and more into the pattern with him. For instance, when Jesus' ministry first takes off at Capernaum, in Peter's family home, a crowd has gathered hearing of Jesus' miracles. The disciples look everywhere for him, but can't find him until they go up onto the hillside. There they find Jesus alone and deep in prayer with his Father in heaven. When they push him about addressing the crowd, Jesus reveals that the Father's plan is to go to some small villages and be fruitful there. This surprise comes out of his abiding, and it's about obedience, the sign that we love God. So God's desire for us is that we bear much fruit by getting this pattern of abiding and fruitfulness correct, following the way that Jesus lived his life and the method that he passed on to his disciples. There was one final place to look in Scripture about this concept, and that is in the image that Jesus gives us of the vine and the branches. Jesus says, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine." So in this pattern of abiding with God and our fruitfulness coming out of what God says to us and the direction that he sends us in, there are times when what we'll be asked to do is to grow things. So abiding becomes fruitfulness as we grow. Always remaining with God in the vine and in relationship with each other. Sometimes when we seek God in this pattern of abiding and fruitfulness, he will talk to us about pruning things, stopping doing things, even ending things that we've been doing for years and years, some of which have been fruitful. And this is the importance of pruning, that it makes sure that we can be fruitful in God's understanding of what that means, in obedience to him, whilst remaining in the vine. It's not about us deciding what is important, it's about God deciding that. So for our fruitfulness to come out of our abiding with God the Father in the way that it did in the life of Jesus, we need to work on how we rest and how we abide with God. Think of that pattern of life. Think of it as a daily process, something that you do every week, something that you do once a month, and something that you do once a season.